Welcome to the first episode of the buildings tutorial. In this episode I want to tell you something about the basics you will need to understand what we are doing in the next episodes. So this is basically a short how-to video where I explain the new or specific things for LOTUS. The next episode will be about the creation of the texture in the Photoshop-like program. And then, of course, the creation of the mesh in 3ds Max. Last but not least, the import of the 3D model into LOTUS. So let's get right into it. The main point for this video is that you should decrease the amount of textures you use. So basically, you can use or build your houses in every style or every form, shape, whatever you want. But there will maybe some performance issues when you overextend your non-performance friendly style of building houses. In fact, you can change the settings to whatever you want and get your good performances on every PC, but I guess everyone wants to have a good looking simulation. So the main idea is that you want to create a map and create houses and stuff like that the user can play on the highest settings. And as I said, there are some LOTUS specific changes. So the first change is that you can use more polygons. So if you have the decision to make if you want to do a more detailed mesh or to express this mesh as a texture, you mostly choose the detailed mesh, because the second thing is you want to reduce your amount of textures. And it's the key thing to get a performance-friendly object. The third rule, basically, I call it rule this time. The third rule is that you should not use high-resolution textures. You can use them, but if you use them frequently, you may get issues when loading the texture from your hard drive to the graphics RAM. So that is the reason why I recommend to use 1024 and 1024 pixel textures. In some cases you can use 2048 and 2048 pixel textures, but don't use them that often. Use it only when you really need them. I hope I don't have to say that you should use square textures with a 2-based multiplier. What is also necessary to deal with LOTUS is special requirements for the night textures. So if we look at this texture, we'll see that we got 2 times this window. It's because the LOTUS displays 2 kind of windows. So let's say the left side is for non-enlightened windows and the right side for enlightened windows. So you can basically say if some tile has a window on it, you have to have it twice on your texture. So that's also the reason why you should have this little warehouse thingy also 2 times on your texture. So as you can see here, there's also a texture which is a good example. So you see it not the highest resolution and it's only one texture for the entire building. What you may do is you can use other textures for the carpet or the sidewall. What do I mean with that? You see here that I use very small textures, and the key thing is not to use loop textures, so the editor can put the textures together to get a better performance. So I would change this texture to a higher resolution. You don't have to loop it on the carpet, and also don't use one special carpet texture per house. So I personally use 7 or 8 carpet textures, so you should use also in this kind of like range. You shouldn't use more than that. Basically, you can put the carpet texture on your normal house texture, but you obviously lose some space for other stuff, or you lose space you would use for higher resolution. Okay, let's look at the sidewall texture. There's only one at the moment because obviously editor would put the meshes together and you use it quite often. And the main thing why I've got only one sidewall texture is that you won't see it that often. Also, there's a possibility if there is a special sidewall texture in the original building in the real world, you can obviously use that also. Use that too. It's not a big mistake to use two special textures for one building, but it's not the case you should use often. So basically it belongs to you if you want to, or if you do work performance friendly. I would recommend it. So yeah, you'll see more textures I used. This object originally has 5 floors, so I used only 3 to get a square texture. And if you can see, if I zoom in, it's also in a very good resolution. So if you stand in front of it, it will also look good. And yeah, as you can see here in this case, if you got a very old building, as you can see, this is a building from Germany that was built in around 1900 or a little bit before. These buildings look very unique. So you don't especially have this possibility to get repeatable parts of the texture, so you mainly have to use the whole texture. But good for us is the houses aren't that high, you can use the whole wall. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, the next video will be in the Photoshop-ish program I use to create textures. And yeah, I hope I see you there. Bye.